Good evening. We are going to start with the session in like 2 to 3 minutes more, and the topic for today is synonyms, which is like a wide umbrella topic. It covers everything that you can use in, let's say, it covers everything that you can use in the speaking as well as the writing section. How can we incorporate synonyms? What are synonyms? And everything will be covered in today's session. So let's just wait for another 2 to 3 minutes and then I will start the session. Okay. So just and I hope I'm audible. Yeah, I am. I am. Okay. Okay, I think it's about time. Let's start the session. I'm just gonna share my screen. So in today's topic, we will be covering about so what are some synonyms that we can use and how do we incorporate in our day-to-day or even in terms of IELTS, how do we incorporate that it sounds and it seems very seamless. So let me just very quickly start the session. Okay. So when we talk about the writing vocabulary, we talk about synonyms, and you know that throughout the IELTS, you will have to use plethora of synonyms. It could be in the form of speaking, it could be in the form of reading or writing as well as listening. Throughout the paper, you will have words that will sound very different, but their implicit meaning will remain. And so you need to be able to not only pinpoint what are synonyms, but also learn some common vocabulary that you can use in the speaking section, and it will help you again broaden your English game. So the first question is, why do we need to use synonyms? You know that the very fair share of answer is that you know that IELTS is all about English, and speaking in particular is how well can you seamlessly use language. That shows that if you are able to use language in a very diverse manner, it shows that you have good vocabulary, which is very synonymous, and it is very proportional to the fact that you are good at speaking, writing, listening and reading, and thereby it will help you gain a higher band score. So the reason why we need to use synonym is, ek to it's important when you want to avoid repetition. So you know that the IELTS format is pretty decent, it's very standardized, and there are certain questions that will definitely come around certain areas. For example, students, for example, technology, family, accommodation, commute, all of these questions are very common. So you need to have a bank of vocabulary where you can use a particular, for the same idea, you can use several different words. It will help you make the conversation more engaging. Imagine somebody using very simple words all the time, then you would think that yes, okay, fine, this person can understand English, but is not at a C1 or a C2 level. And if somebody is aiming for an average band score, yes, definitely you can use the basic words, there's no harm. But if you are aiming for a higher band score, you need synonyms. So the first thing, the reason why we use synonym is to avoid repetition. The next is it is but obvious to demonstrate vocabulary range. The more synonyms you use, the better it is interpreted that you have good vocabulary range. So that is another reason why we need to use vocabulary. Like we need to use synonyms to show that we have good vocabulary bank. The next is to enhance precision. When we talk about precision, we say on point. So when you use vocabulary in a way that means the same thing, it becomes on point. For example, let's say you're thirsty, and after a big working out session, you drank some water. How does it feel? Then a lot of people say, I am satisfied now, my thirst is gone now, but the actual word for it is quench. So it quenched your thirst. For example, similar is the case, let's say somebody who keeps on saying, we might have definitely met a lot of people who are always indisposed, who are always ill. So there's a term for these kinds of people. You can call them a hypochondriac, or you can call them a valetudinarian. These words precisely mean an umbrella term, right? So when you want to speak, when you want to actually talk about a particular thing, you need precision. So that is the reason why using synonyms is very important. The next is improving cohesion and coherence. Cohesion and coherence means that when you use a very precise vocabulary, it helps you to bind the conversation together. So the more precise your conversation is, the better clarity of thoughts you can portray. Imagine being somebody who has no idea of vocabulary, cannot really express themselves. Of course, you're going to struggle when you're going to point, when you would want to express yourself. So that is another reason why you need to use synonyms. It is to showcase that you can use vocabulary in a very precise manner. You can use vocabulary without repeating it. You can use vocabulary to demonstrate how well can you expound on the idea. And of course, using synonyms helps you to speak very precisely. So these are the reasons why we use synonyms. Now let's talk about how can we incorporate synonyms, or how can we incorporate paraphrasing. These are some terms that you're going to go hand in hand throughout your IELTS process or journey. So the topic, if the topic is the role of technology in education, let's say somebody asks you, can you tell me what is there any role of technology in education? Now you can say yes, technology plays an important role. You can say technology plays a huge role. You can say technology plays a significant role, but the actual C2 level vocabulary would be technology definitely is increasing leaps and bounds, and it plays a very quintessential role. It plays a very crucial role. It plays a very imperative role. So with the vocabulary usage, you see how well your ideas come together. You've used an idiom, you've used a word which is not really commonly used. So that is the reason why you need synonyms. The next is the importance of exercise for health. Now, a lot of people would say, exercise is important for maintaining good health. You can change it, indulging in any kind of physical activities is imperative if you want to have or sustain really good health. Now, you have said the same thing, but you've used vocabularies that are on the higher side. And this is the whole purpose of IELTS. It's to show how well can you seamlessly incorporate vocabularies. Okay. Now coming to the next one, the topic, the impact of globalization on local cultures. And these are certain questions that are definitely asked very frequently. If the question is, can you tell me the impact of globalization on social cultures? So look at the words that have been used over here. Globalization has had a substantial effect on native cultures and around the globe. While some argue that the phenomena brings progression, progression means it brings an increased development and integration. Others believe it leads to annihilation of traditional lifestyle. So annihilation here means it completely destroys, it brings a lot of jeopardy to the traditional lifestyles and heritage. So when you use words like annihilation, when you use progression, affect native, provincial traditions, again, see, these are certain vocabularies you might not have heard people using very commonly. Although it's really sad because this is not a very like words like progression, affect, and native. This is something that you can use in day-to-day life, but people unfortunately don't make the effort. So when you use such kinds of vocabularies, you have to be very sure of the fact that you will not get a band less than 7, because these are very like not common vocabularies. So again, that is why we use synonyms. Okay. Now the next is in this introduction, when we talk about synonyms, you need to also know that there are some words that sound very similar, but they mean exactly opposite. For example, affect and effect. Both of them have different meaning. Affect and effect, native and local. Like native, it means, native is someone who has originated from a particular place, but local are the residents. So even if there is the usage of native and local, these are synonymously used, but their context differs. So you not only need to have the context, you not only have to need synonyms in mind, you also need to know the context. Do they sit perfectly well with this context or not? So there's another task, not only the fact that you need to know synonyms, you also need to know when to use them. right? The next is progression and advancement. When we talk about progression, we can say I have a very progressive mindset, but I will not say I have a very advancing mindset. Although both the words, they mean that you have a very looking forward, you have a very modern approach, but when you use them, progression would sound a little bit unnatural as we compare to advancement in technology. So again, even though these are synonyms, you need to see the context. The next one is annihilation instead of loss. When I say annihilation, annihilation is like almost extermination. Extermination means completely when you rip off, kill, when you bring to shreds of a person. But loss is a little toned down word which means the same thing. So again, even though you use annihilation, it will bring a very strong current or a current of emotion, but you don't need that much. So you need to know how to use the synonyms and when to actually use a little less toned down version of it. The next is provincial and local. Provincial is for places that are really not very developed, like places that are like one horse towns, or places that have no technology, they are very laid back, they don't have any sense of development. But when we say local, we're talking about goods, and we're talking about businesses, we're talking about things that are very traditional. So even though both the words, they have somewhat similar meaning, but you cannot use them interchangeably because the impact, the context, and the way you want it to to have an impact, it differs. So you need to know the synonyms, but you also need to know when to use it. So that is basically what is context called. Coming to the next one, collocations. When we talk about collocations, collocations are the words that we use in combination. For example, when we say mm, 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 prepare the meal quickly, we will not say make the meal quickly, because when you are starting it from scratch, you prepare things. But if you have to just assemble it, you make it. So collocations are the words that are used together, and this is something which is very important in your writing task too, also, and also in your speaking. For example, if you say the train was quick, it's not gonna be it will not really mean anything. Quick का क्या मतलब है? Like, was it quick in terms of the speed? Was it quick in terms of, I mean, there's no context, right? But when I say the train was really fast, it means that it was running on a very fast pace. The next one here is, a lot of people, they say you need to take decision, but take is like you have a lot of options and you're just picking it, but decisions are made, right? So the correct way is make decision, not take decisions. We make mistakes, we don't take mistakes, right? So again, you need to know the collocations, you need to know where they they mean, or what exactly is the word that you can use with a particular word. So they when you when you combine words and they come out as a significant absolute meaning, they are used, or they are heavily influenced by the collocations. So I hope it makes sense. For example, we don't take mistakes, we make mistakes. And let me think of some more examples that will make it clear for you as if what are collocations. So we will not say it's not a powerful coffee, right? I had a very powerful coffee. Even though powerful actually means it's something very strong, but we say I in the morning I had a strong coffee. So strong coffee, strong here is a collocation. You will not say I am very no, actually you can use very concerned. You will not say I am heavily concerned. Even though heavily again means like very much employed with something, you're going to say I'm very concerned, or you will say I'm deeply concerned. So deeply here is your collocations that you use with words like concern, happy, and all of that. So I hope it gives you a bit of idea what I'm trying to insinuate. So this is collocations. Now, if we look over here, we have the question, the benefits of regular exercise on health. Now here, if you look at the first one is an incorrect usage of collocation. Regular exercise can do a huge impact, not do, make a huge impact on your overall health. Engaging in physical activity can make better your cardiovascular health and increase your fitness levels. Do you think anything can make your make better your cardiovascular health? Is it correct? You can instead say it can improve, it can elevate, but it will not make better because it is grammatically incorrect. And increase your fitness levels. Can you in there's no like there's no pedestrians, there's no levels of fitness levels. You can either say it improves, you can say it boosts, you can say it brings it together, it sort of insurges, but you will not say increase fitness levels, although sabka meaning is same he only, but of course the context differs. The next is additionally exercise can help to lose weight and reduce the chance of chronic chances. Reduce the chance, again chance is a very positive way. Matlab, let's say when you want to how do I explain this? So chance is used in a very positive manner, in which if you get the chance, you might get the opportunity. But the risk के साथ chance is something that you cannot go together or you cannot use together because risk is a negative word. So reduce the risk would be better instead of saying reduce the chances of chronic diseases, right? So again, these are certain ways in which collocations, using the right kind of collocation helps you sound more precise, and it does not impact the overall meaning of what you're trying to say. Instead of saying you need to make an effort, use considerable effort should be devoted to. Again, this would be used if you are using it in a formal context. In an informal context, you don't really use a lot of formal language. And instead of saying you did a good job, you can definitely say you performed really well. You, instead of saying do research, say conduct research, because it improve it when you do or when you inculcate or when you are associated with any kind of research, you do a lot of test, you conduct a lot of scientific test and all of that, and that's the reason why instead of do research we say conduct research. And there's like a lot of words, and if you are confused how to learn about all of these words, a simple search on ChatGPT will make you understand how to use the collocations to its most efficiency, right? Now, let's say what are the common synonyms that we use that completely destroys the IELTS writing task? क्या होता है कि a lot of students, they after when they have given the test, they would come back to me and they would say, "Ma'am, it was really nice. I used a lot of synonyms," and I'm like, I use this, that, and everything. But when they get the band scores, it's always on the lower side, because yes, you might have used the synonyms, but अगर वो contextually तुमने नहीं use किया, तो you will not really get the band score. And some synonyms that we use, for example, if we say the pollution has a terrible effect on people's health. Now, terrible is something we use in an informal way. Let's say when you're talking to your friend and you say the weather is really terrible today, it's completely fine. But when you're writing an essay, you have to use words that are formal. For example, negative, for example, harmful. These are formal vocabularies. And when you write the essay, it is clearly distinctively mentioned that you cannot use vocabulary which is informal. And so is the case with synonyms. You cannot use synonyms in writing task 2, because again, synonym is an informal way of expressing yourself. So the next is good. When you say the new policy has a great impact on economy, it's incorrect, because great is something we use when we talk to our friends, when we talk to our family, but not in a very formal context. You wouldn't really say great. We say commendable, we say wonderful, we say marvelous. So instead of great, here you can say the new policy has positive impact on the economy, or it has a very beneficial impact on the economy, because again, these words are more formally used. And remember, in the essay, the more formal vocabulary you'll use, the better chances of you scoring a higher band score. And they have exceptionally and they've actually written it, if you look at the band descriptors, they have written that you have to use formal vocabularies only. So make sure that you do that. The next is now children. You will have a lot of questions that will involve words like children, teenagers, youngsters. So look at the synonyms that you can use for children. You can use kids, youngsters, young ones, youth. Now, young one is something that is again very informal. Youth, teenager, adolescents. Adolescents is a formal word. Infants, offsprings, and juveniles. Now, when we talk about kids, kids are something that we say when we're informally referring to children. We don't say, you will not say, I have to pick my offspring from school. Offspring is a very formal word. Progeny again is a very formal word. So, kids is an informal word and it should be avoided in the writing task, because again, for the simple reason that when you're writing about the task or when you're writing the task too, you have to incorporate a lot of formal vocabulary. Youngsters, again, you can definitely use youngsters because it's a formal word. Adolescence is also something that you can use for the writing task too. Again, it's a formal word. Juveniles, I would say that yes, you can use it. It's not a very commonly used word, meaning that it's not an informal word. But do not use kids, do not use young ones, because all of these are used when you are maybe talking to your friend but not writing an essay. So in the essay, make it a thumb rule that you are going to write all the words that are formal and not and make sure that you are not using any informal vocabulary. Okay. Um, so here is just an explanation of youth. The time of life one is young, especially the period between childhood and maturity. There's another term that we use, recalcitrant. So all the teenagers in a way or the other are recalcitrant. So recalcitrant is something that you can use for showing, or when you want to say, a very adamant child or a very, not easily convinced child. So these kinds of people are recalcitrant. So recalcitrant is definitely a word that you can use in the speaking section. Teenager, again, teenagers are people who come between the age of 13 and 19. And yes, you can use teenagers in the writing section because it's a formal word. Adolescence is again something that you can use in the writing section because it's a formal word. You will not hear a lot of people using adolescence, and that's when you'll realize it's a formal word. The next is juveniles. Now juveniles, इसको ऐसे याद रखना कि you have juvenile jails, right? In for people who have committed some kind of, let's say, crime. So you have juveniles jail, and depending on the topic, if it is related to crime and punishment, yes, you can use the word juvenile. You can use for lockup, you can use the word incarcerate. There was another very beautiful word, but I can't really recall it. It starts with p. Pen. So for that is also used for the speaking section. Maybe tomorrow if we have the no tomorrow yeah tomorrow if we have the session, I'll tell you the word for lockup. It's incarcerate. There's another term that you can definitely use. So if the topic is related to crime and its punishment, um, yes, penitentiary. That's correct. Very good. How do you know? How do you know this word penitentiary? Very good, Rajat. Oh, very nice. Very good. I think I read this. I read a novel called Under the Underwear. Wait, I'll tell you. Yeah, as long as the lemon tree grows, and in that novel, I came across this word, and it was really really nice. Very good, Rajat. So when you have used this word penitentiary, I'm actually assuming that you have really good vocabulary. It's like as simple. So yeah. So in terms of vocabulary where you need to use, let's say, legal language, let's say, but that is something that is not very prevalently used in the writing section. You have more generic topic, but penitentiary is a word that you can use for lockup. Very good. Um, Coming to the next one, individual. Now individual is again, it refers to the human beings, emphasizing the uniqueness of each person. And when you use it in the IELTS, yes, you can definitely use it because you will have a lot of questions related to people. Like a lot of people believe in this, a lot of people believe in that, a few individuals believe in this. So here, if you want to synonymously use individual for people, you can definitely do that. And for citizens, I would suggest suggest you to steer clear from this word citizen, because it is referred to the people of a particular country. So if they have mentioned that it is coming from a particular, let's say, country, yes, then you can use citizens of that particular country, but don't use it in a normal context like citizens of India. Yes, you can do, but if you say citizen suggest, it's gonna sound a little incoherent. So make sure that, again, even if it is a synonym, you use it in context. The next is society. Society, yes, you can definitely use it. And the next is individual. So when we talk about society, it refers to a group of people who share common interests. So your society would be within your community. So how can you use it in IELTS? You can, whenever you're discussing some social issues, when you're talking about cultural norms or collective behavior, yes, you can definitely use it. But for individuals, although they are a part of society, they don't really come directly as society. So when you're talking about a cumulative group, yes, society can be used. Like it is very prevalent thought in the society that women should not really head out after dark. So in this context, yes, you can use, but you cannot say society thinks that women should not really step out if it is regarding one particular individual. So I hope it makes sense. The next one is a lot of. A lot of has a very beautiful synonym. Can you tell me any one particular word that you can replace a lot of with? Rajat. Anything. I'm going to give you some time to think. Okay. You've written it. Let me just see. Plenty of, that's correct. You can even say numerous, that is also correct. Plethora of is also correct. A bunch of, no, a bunch of would come under as an informal vocabulary. You can say a considerable amount of people believe that, again, this will be another synonym. So even though a lot of is a word that shows that a lot, like a significant amount of people, they believe in this, but make sure when you're using the synonyms, they are, like, not informal. So for example, if we say a lot of, it comes as an informal vocabulary. So instead of lot of, you can use tons of people. Nahi, you cannot use tons of people. You can you say plenty of people? No, again, it's like a very informal way of speaking. So you can say numerous, you can say a plethora of, you can say a significant amount of people, sorry, a significant number of people, a large amount of, but for people you don't say amount. So you can say significant people, or significant chunks of people believe in this. So again, the synonyms that you use has to be formal. It should not come from an informal vocabulary. Like if you use plenty of people, a large number of tourists would be fine. So these are some, many also you can believe, you can definitely write in the writing section, but just steer clear from using anything that has an informal connotation, like a lot of, many, much, because they are used when you talk directly with your friend, and they have like a sort of an informal tinge to it. So that's another. Coming to the result, you will have to use results quite often in the writing section, because you write a lot of conclusions there. So some synonyms for conclusion is something that you should remember. You can use to deduce, you can say to summarize, to reiterate, to sum up, right? Or if you can think of, to deduce is another synonym that we can use. Now for results, we have outcome, we have consequence, we have effect, and we have repercussions. Now a repercussion is also something that you can definitely use, because it has a very lasting effect. So these are certain synonyms for results. It is outcome, refers to the consequence or effect of an action or an event, both good or bad. You have like, to determine the outcome, to predict the outcome. You can say, these are the collocations that you relate with outcomes. Then you have consequence. You can say serious consequence, it will have unforeseen consequence, it will have adverse consequence, it will have far-reaching consequence. So consequence is also something that you can definitely use as per the context. Then you have effect, negative effect, you have positive effect, you have long-term effect, environmental effect, immediate, health, social, economic, and these are the ways in which you can use effects with. And then you have repercussions. Again, repercussion is something that is a direct result of what you do. But instead of as compared with results, the word repercussion, it has something that has a very long term effect on maybe your career, on the trajectory of life. So even when if you are using repercussions, make sure that when you use it when the results are long lasting. Okay. So this is for results, and with this we come to the end of the session. I hope now it is clear to you why it's important to use synonyms, and also why it's very important for us to paraphrase and paraphrase it contextually, so that the meaning is not getting any affected, or it does not really change the meaning, right? Any question or any doubt, anything that you would want to ask, please. Um, Anything that did not make sense, or any confusion that you have, is all right. I hope it's all clear. And when are you planning to give your when are you planning to write for the IELTS? January. So you have November. All right, so you have some time to prepare. Definitely, I would suggest you to do a lot of mock test, because when you write a lot of mock test, you will understand both your strengths and your weakness, and you would know exactly where to work harder. So you can definitely do that, and book the dates only after. I would, if you take my personal suggestion, whenever you're confused about when to book the dates, just sit down and write at least one full mock test. See if you're getting anywhere near to your anticipated band score, and if you are, then that means you're really ready, and then you can book the date. Otherwise, if you are somebody who works really well under pressure, then you can definitely book the date. All right. So this was my 2 cents for you, and I shall see you tomorrow. You're welcome, Rajat. Thank you so much for joining the session. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.